How to use Google Forms in your real estate business. It's Tom Lyons here from realmarkai.com and Team Terra Alliance in Belleville, Ontario. And my hair is a little bit of a mess today, but doesn't matter because we're going to dig into something that a lot of people have been asking for because it is a great tool and I think you're all going to love it. So Google Forms is a tool put out by Google. If you have Google Workspace or a Google account, you can use Google Forms. It is really easy to find. You just simply go to forms.google.com and it will take you directly there. Of course, you need to be logged into your Google account to be able to use it. From there, you have all sorts of options starting right off the bat with the template gallery. So if you look at the template gallery, we've got everything from event feedback, order forms, job applications. The list goes on and on. For us in the real estate business, I find it's great for event registration, really good for that. Client onboarding, really good for that. So just anything that you're trying to collect information from our users. Feedback is really great too. We're not going to find a template that we're looking for here, but that's okay because we can just do one from scratch. Go to blank form. And then from here, we're going to title it. There's two places title on the side and over here. I'm going to title it up here. In this case, we're going to do a feedback form. And you're going to see as soon as I go here, we're titled immediately. Let's get it spelled right. We're immediately titled over here. You can see it's corrected. We're going to have some formatting options a little later, but first let's get our questions in. So I think the first question should be, how did we do? And this is where you start to have some fun with it. There are all sorts of different types of checklists you can do. You can do a rating, you can do a linear scale, you can do multiple choice, you can put in a date, a time, you can put all sorts of great stuff. We're doing a rating and we're doing a 1 to 5, so it's super easy rating to understand. And we're going to say that it's a required field for them to fill out. And then I want to be able to collect their email address. Now, Google has an option to collect the email address. I'm going to show you that a little later. So there's two ways you can do this. You can do it the way that I'm doing it right now, where they're going to manually enter it as a separate field, or you can have it where Google will do some validation to make sure that it's actually not necessarily an active email address, but at least it's formatted correctly. So it would be something like tom@terralliance.com, because with the way that I'm doing it right now, somebody could enter something in that says tom.tom.tom, and that obviously is not an email address. So I'm going to add another field called name. And I could do first name and last name if I want. You'll notice that it's changing the options over here based on what I'm typing. It kind of knows what I want, which makes life easier. And then the last one here is we're going to put phone number, right? And again, it goes short answer. So super easy. Great. So I've got all of those things in. I don't think I need to add anything else. I do want to make this required. I do want their name to be required, and I want their email address to be required. I think I want them to fill out their name first. So that's really easy. There's 6 little dots up here, and you can see I get these arrows pointed. So I can just drag it into place. And then I can say, well, I want the email address to be the last thing they fill out. So now they're going to do it in this order. That's great. You'll also notice I have the option to put in like an inline image somewhere. So we're going to show you one. You have to have a reason for wanting to submit, like to add one in there, because you can see how it fills it out. It still gives the title, and then it adds an inline image, and then it goes from here. So you would usually use this if there was some reason you needed to include the image. You wouldn't do it from an aesthetic point. Like there's got to be a reason you would add that picture. You're not doing it for a design purpose. So I'm just going to remove that. Okay, so I've got my nice little feedback form set up. Now I have some response choices that I can make. So far there's been no responses, but I do want to link it to a Google Sheet so that the stuff has somewhere to go. And there we go. It's going to create a new sheet called feedback form responses. That's perfect. I could tie it into an existing spreadsheet if I wanted to, but we're going to say create, and there's my spreadsheet ready to go. And then we're going to go to settings. We're not going to make it a quiz because it's not a quiz, but you could if you needed to assign point values to each question. So you could determine maybe you were lead qualifying. And so based on the answers they give, create a different value and therefore you could score the lead, right? Responses, we want to mark how they're going to be responded. So here's where I was talking about collect email addresses. I have the option to do not collect. I have the option to do verified. If they're verified, they have to use a Google account. So that really limits who can use it. Just about everybody has a Google account today, but not everybody does. And then the other option is for them to manually enter their email address. So when I add that, you can see I've added that. If I go back to questions, you can see now it's added at the top. And I don't have the option to move it somewhere else. It has to be at the top. So that's why I don't always include it, because if I turn it off and I use my own, I can put it wherever I want. We have the option to send the responder a copy of their responses, which is good, but it requires that we collect the email address. So if we turn this off, we lose this ability. Response editing, this allows them to go back, like log back into their specific one they submitted and re-edit them. We're not going to let them to do it. Once they give the feedback, they've given the feedback. Restrict users to only the company and its trusted organization. No, I need to turn that off, because if they're not part of my company, then they can't fill out the form. And if I want it to be a public facing form, then I need it available to everybody. So we're going to turn that off. Limit to one response. Yeah, I'm going to only allow them to submit once. And then we can change how the form is presented. We can give a progress bar, which is super handy if we have a long form, and especially if we use segments on the form. So one of the options that we have in here, you can see, is to add segments. So I can go and say, okay, well, so after they fill out the review, or they've given us our 5-star feedback, then I want them to continue to the new section. And then we just put contact details is what we'll call this section. And then the rest of it's here. So because we've added the section, and we can preview this just to see what it's going to look like. See, we go 5 stars, next, and then it adds this section here. We might want to put under the settings, we might want to put a progress bar. So now when we look at this, we have a progress bar that says page 1 of 2. And so they know how far they've gone. See, we're on page 2 of 2. They're almost complete. So it's really nice if you have a big form. You need them to keep seeing how they go through. Plus, it will improve the amount of submissions you get. We can shuffle the question order. We're not going to do that on a feedback form, but you could see if you had a quiz or if you had just something more fun, you might shuffle them. What do we want to do after the submission? We want to send a confirmation message. So right now it says your response is being recorded, but we're going to say, thank you for your feedback. There we go. And don't forget to save. And then we can show link to submit another response. We're not going to do that because it's only one response that they can do. And then we're not going to, in this case, we're not going to share the summary, but everybody that submits could see the results of everybody else, but not their individual results, the cumulative. So 25% of the people said, yes, they like blue. 24% said, no, they like the color orange, that sort of idea. Disable autosave for all response. No, I don't recommend that. I recommend you always have the autosave on. And then some defaults that are here, collect addresses by default. Obviously, we're going to leave that to do not collect because of what we talked about before. And then question defaults, make questions all required. So in this case, we're going to go yes, but you could leave this off because maybe if it was a listing checklist, you might not need everything filled out because it isn't done yet, right? Okay, so we've got our form done. Let's do a little preview of what it looks like. So we've got a feedback form, kind of ugly. The color's purple. None of these things are the way that we want it to look. So we have some options. Let's go to customize the theme. First thing we want to do maybe is add and a little bit dark. Yeah, I kind of like that. But watch what happens when I decide to add my own image to the header. I'm going to pick this one and just notice the color tones in this. And we're going to center it. And I'm going to go done. And it's going to load that header up. And notice it now picks a color palette to match that photo. So if I go in now, I get this nice image here, and the rest of this matches. Do I have to keep it? No. I can go in and I can add in whatever colors I want, and I can change the background to whatever I want. I do not have to keep the same color. So an example is I could go like this and add that as a color, and now I have it for like different things. If I go back and I preview this, you can see this is darker now. These are a little darker. The text here is a little darker. Background, it's interesting. Background, you can't change a whole lot. It's really kind of stuck with whatever you got here. There is no option to just make that change to a different color, which I find a little frustrating. But the point is they're trying to make things easy for you, and they've done it for sure. You can change your font for your header, your text, or whatever. And so this is it. We're done. So what happens when we finish this and we've got it looking the way we want and we've got our questions the way we want? Then we send it to people to be able to fill out. So we go send, and we have some options. We can email it directly to a person right there. We can choose to take a link and send that link to somebody, and they allow us to shorten it so that it's not so long of a link. Or we can embed it directly into our website by taking this code and then embedding it in the website. Away we got. So there's lots of ways to get people to fill out the form. So if I do a preview and I see the results and I go next and I fill out my name, Tom Lyons, not a real phone number in case you're wondering, and email address, you can all email me at that email address and submit. So you can see it says, thank you for feedback. That was the change that I made. It's still looking fairly nice. You can't get rid of the Google Forms if that's what you're hoping. And then we can look at the responses. And I have one response in here already, so we can see how we're doing. I can see the name, so that's really good. But I can also see it in that Google Sheet. See? Here it is. And so with the Google Sheet, we're given a lot of options. We can create Zapier integrations with it and automate it and dump it into our CRM if we want to. We can start doing follow-up email sequences. We can check to see what the results are, and in a fast way instead of the slow way that you see in here where we have to look at responses one by one. We can look at it in the spreadsheet. I really like Google Forms, one, because it's free. Two, it's easy to integrate with a lot of other things, which makes life easy. What I don't like about it, cons, is there isn't a lot of formatting capability. You're always stuck with the Google branding, and you don't have a lot of different styles to pick from. Can it do the job? Absolutely. Will it do the job? 100% for you. So go ahead and use it. If you're looking for something fancier, there are other tools out there that you can use. You can always make that change later, but in the meantime, you've got a great free tool that you could use right away. If you have any questions about this tool or any other tool, just let me know. More than happy to answer them for them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It is the only way I know that you're liking this content. Until the next time, I'm Tom Lyons. We'll see you.